here with my wonderful neighbor Stefanie, and Stefanie is a passionate astrologist with an amazing passion in astrology. And I wanted to have an interview with her and talk about what's coming for the universe and planet and humans for 2024-25, like this switch over. And also, I want you to tell us your experience of how you found what you're passionate about. How was it that you decided or just knew that the one thing you loved the most was, and what is it about astrology that you just, it turns you on?
That's a good question. Good questions, both of them. I think when I first got to fired up with astrology I was still a child, and it was not necessarily astrology, but also religion, all things, faith, truth, the one truth. Is there one truth? My grandmother, we had good conversations, and I noticed that I always like to know what's ahead, what's coming up, I wanted to look ahead. And often, you joke, you have a crystal ball on your desk or so, but I found it fascinating to be able to see ahead. And I don't know, in probably my 20s or so, then I got into Reiki and energies and all this, and energy work, and how you really feel when you put your hand, even hover it over your body. So all these things that you cannot put a finger on, and if you go to someone and tell them hey, I'm holding my hand over my body and I can really feel electricity or so, and they think oh, and plus it was in the 80s, so people were not open to this kind of frou-frou stuff.
It was all woo.
Yeah, my son is in the 8th house astrologically, and the 8th house is really about death and rebirth, cycling, all things hidden, things that are not obvious. And so more and more, in my 20s, I think I found really a lot of value in astrology, and I didn't even notice that it's astrology that I'm interested in. So I've started reading the columns, even though now, the columns, they're so generic. But I found it fascinating. And I think when I really got fired up was when I got serious about it with my boyfriend in Playa del Carmen. He had a library, and I found books from Stephen Arroyo, Liz Green, and all these big astrologers, and it made so much sense. And my boyfriend and I, we fought a little bit, so we had a passionate relationship. But once I read about, he's a Virgo, so once I read about him, I went he cannot be different. So I accepted things as they are, because they're energetic, they're characteristics of the representation, or they are the representation of the signs, and they are energy, and the signs are connected to elements and all this. So it clicked in my inner brain in a way, and I could really understand things better. I was at ease. I understood myself better. And I found ease dealing with difficult people, in my family or so. And I'm this is so cool. It's like a law. It's or a language. You have planets and houses and the signs, and also the interaction. So they show up in an angle, and it can be a stressful angle or a flowing, harmonious angle, and you can notice that. So all that was like a guide, something that, or it's raining and you have an umbrella. It protects you, it guides you, you can live with it, and it made so much sense. And I since probably, what was it, in my end 30s or so, I took real serious classes with organizations. And from then on, it became my life philosophy, my law. It's overriding anything that humans can come up with. It's a beautiful order, natural order.
So you would say that astrology, and this is my takeaway from what you just said, and I loved it. You would say that astrology is the scientific method of universal synchronicity.
That is very well said. It's like a language with the universe, with the
universal synchronicity explained
exactly
through the planets.
And totally, you nailed it.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Oh, I get goosebumps.
Yes.
Stephanie, I'm so glad you shared that with me. So in the last, few months, I've been thinking a lot about the whole process of what's happening, watching the political scene in Mexico this year, because now we have a female president in Mexico, in a country where it was all Catholic, male, macho male in general, Latin guys. I don't like calling them macho men, but they sort of are. And maybe that's why we like them so much. But they are macho men. And here in Mexico, we have a female president for the first time. And now, looking forward, we're not sure, but there's a lot of predictions by a lot of really high-level astrologers and people that are predicting that there might be a female president in the U.S., which would be also kind of something unprecedented. Unprecedented president. Yeah. Not just because it's a woman, but also because it could be a multicultural woman. A female form is so different than anything that was ever allowed to happen before.
It was the old white man always.
My mother calls it male, pale, and stale.
That's a good one. I love it. I adopt that.
I know you like that. I know. And then it makes me think a lot about our feminine energy and how we went through the very patriarchal masculine energy from religion from hundreds of years back. Like we're talking about Roman times.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Through the Catholic religion,
exactly.
Through the Bible and all that. And actually, just a small aside, which you're going to love, or maybe you know this already, but the name of the hotel and the holistic center here is Hokma. And the word Hokma means the place where the universal wisdom and knowledge is found in the earth. So it's the connection of balance between the masculine universal energy and the feminine.
Yeah.
And Hokma actually meant God in its female form.
Oh, easy.
And it was removed from the Bible, and it was removed from the Kabbalah in the old Aramaic. In the old Aramaic, I read this online. I was looking for the word wisdom in Maya, like trying to find a Mayan word for something natural. And there was no Mayan word for wisdom. I only found the word Hokma. And it was an old Aramean word, and I'm not a heavy-duty feminist because I really understood that it was important that we have a balance between masculine and feminine energy. And I'm wondering if this chaos, and you might have ideas about this because of your background with astrology, but all this chaos that they're predicting, war, famine, you see all these posts, it's so scary when you see predictions. I don't even want to look at them because I'm so scared to find out that we're all going to die and the apocalypse is coming. And I'm just wondering if it's not so much like a death in general, but maybe it's a death of the energy being so masculine.
Yes.
And then also
it's
from really tipping point to masculine, it went really feminists. And then we had like the hippie era and the feminist thing, and now
the emancipation, and this is what happened when that started in about the 70s or so. The emancipation movement and divorces and the women wanting to really break free, Aries style, and what is the other, Pallas Athena, and it's like the rebellious woman. I cannot think of the other mythical figure. Let's see. Maybe it comes to me later. But it's the wild woman and like rebellious, but not necessarily in a good sense, because women became very unhappy. So they would like, okay, I want my own job, I want to work, I want to be on my own feet and all this. But they would diss the men instead of saying like, hey, I want to get on your level, I want to be on eye level with you. So they kind of, it was like a divide, and that was not good. So the kids were growing up in separated families. Women were unhappy, men were unhappy, and this is where this toxicity started with the men, because they don't know what, they had been there to protect the women. Now the woman says, I don't need to be protected, I can carry that myself, and so they are insecure, and it's out of balance. And I think it may even have been instigated because when women get emancipated and they go to work also, you have double taxpayers now. You don't have a woman at home anymore. So I look at that a lot.
And it helps control the population too.
Yeah, yes.
So a lot of things are happening to control the population.
And you get control on the kids because they go in daycare and you can teach them. You have like right there control on the kids and you can indoctrinate them. So that's where I look a lot like,
it's coming. So is there anything that you've seen with the moon and the astrology of 224, 25 that you think shows, I would love to share that knowledge with everyone and not have this awful scary, we're coming to the end of the world.
Yes.
Is there something about this evolution process and this healing process where the pendulum is swinging that you can see as an astrologist?
Yes, there's definitely a call for us to become self-sufficient, because we have been putting ourselves in the hands of doctors, counselors, education, and so
psychologists,
we got docile. So we got really trained to be like go to the drive-through and like be convenient instead of parking at the end of the parking lot and walking to the store.
Or cooking a healthy meal, or growing some food.
Growing your own food and all this. And so we have been really trained in these, like, a lot of people are overweight and obese and unhealthy. So now it's really getting our own life in our own grip again. So even though we are like over masculine, we have been over masculine in the past, but all the biggies, like the biggies are the slow moving planets, they hover on a degree in the zodiac for a longer time, so they are really generational, and they all go in masculine signs. So even though we have to cut this toxic masculine, the control, the hierarchical thinking, and the top-down management. So that for sure, when Pluto goes back on the 1st of September, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. Capricorn is all about government, hierarchy, and like the old men, the old white
tail.
Exactly. So those that's retrograding. So Pluto is retrograding back into Capricorn. So it's really about undoing all these old crusty structures that want to be centralized, like a spider in the spider web, and you cannot do any decision unless I tell you, I give you the permission. And it's all the control, over the phones, wanting to control all the people. I remember when it started, when Google Maps, when they track you, and then I'm coming back from a hike. How can you know that where I was hiking? I was so naive back then, a couple of years ago. So that is the old crusted societal structure that we are going out of. And then when we are going into air, that means Neptune is one of the planets that is related to societal changes, because Neptune was pretty much in that position, in the same position with the French Revolution. So people now...
So there's some revolution happening. There's
and Saturn is going into Aries, and Neptune is following in Aries. So Saturn and Neptune together. Neptune, dreamer, but also societal indicator. Saturn is also like structure and limits and duty and order. So the two of them entering Aries is like taking action. So I think that people had it, and they have been going on the streets already. But I think that more and more people say, like, we don't want to be controlled anymore. We want to be free. We want to be free is a thing. We can be free, but if we don't have self-discipline, then we are anarchists or chaotic. So now it's really about developing a self-discipline, healthy lifestyle, good thinking, positive thinking, and supporting each other, community thinking. That's Aquarius. So that's Pluto and Aquarius.
My neighbor.
There you go.
Do you think it's also, I feel my intuition's telling me that we need to be consistent. And if you're doing what you love and you're passionate about it, you can wake up every day and you can be consistent and it doesn't feel like discipline.
It does not feel like work.
It doesn't feel like work, it doesn't feel like discipline.
Paid or not, it doesn't matter really, you do it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
For me, you know what I found out, having moved to the jungle, construction even, like building something, building is like, it's
quite a project.
It is, but it's creative too,
Yeah.
and it is lasting. So I think that is also another passion. But the biggest passion is really the astrology, because it's a system, and I love to help people just to see it and not disregard it. You know, I mean, in the past, the old Babylonians, they all had court astrologers, and they figured that it is so powerful to know the cycles. Basically, it's all measuring cycles, observing, and then another cycle is coming up, and then you know, okay, so that has happened with this cycle last time, and the time before. So maybe you have like 3 cycles with the same
pattern.
Yeah, pattern. And
so are they kind of like, and you know what, I know it doesn't sound as good on the video, but I'm gonna turn the air conditioning on even though
let's go
it's too hot.
Yeah,
sorry.
We have to be realistic.
We gotta be realistic, and we did decide, and you haven't had any of your wine because I have you talking. So is this just a little commercial break here? So Stefanie and I said we have to look in your eyes, because if you don't, it means no sex for 7 years.
We don't want to have that.
We don't want to have that.
No.
We need those men.
Exactly, we want balance. We want that.
We want balance.
Yes.
So I almost get the feeling from my intuition, because when you talk, I kind of jump into you. I kind of body jump into Stefanie, and I think, oh, when you said that the biggies, I almost got the feeling like the planets were like your friends.
They are. And that's what we have to do, because everybody goes like, Saturn is the schoolmaster, he's heavy, he's limiting you. But if you don't have him, then
there's no discipline, there's no violence.
I say like, Saturn, come on my side. I can't talk to them. It's crazy.
Talk to them. I love that. I love that. They have become your friends, they've become your counselors, they've become like...
Absolutely. It's definitely helping. And you know, there's no horoscope that doesn't have any stressful, they call it, it's called a square, a 90-degree angle. When 2 planets are in a 90-degree angle, then it's supposed to be a square, and it's not supposed to be, it is a square, and it's supposed to be stressful. But it's not necessarily stressful, because it is just a momentum, like it could be also a soft push to get you off the sofa and do something that you're supposed to do, that you would otherwise not do with the trines. They are so like easy and relaxed, and you open your mouth and the barbecue chicken will fly in your mouth. You don't have to bend a finger for that.
And you open your mouth and the words just also come out.
Yes.
In an interview I just saw between Eckhart Tolle and Oprah Winfrey on the New Earth, Eckhart Tolle predicted a few years ago, not too long ago, but he predicted a few years ago in his book The New Earth, that there was this awakening process happening. And I just saw that Oprah just had him back on her show again, and she just interviewed him, and she just asked him, it doesn't seem like there's an awakening happening because of what's happening. Is there any input that you have as far as your astrological vision as to whether people are awakening now, but the awakening is coming through these really extreme, like this moment for so many people in the big moon in the last few weeks, it seems like business dealings are stopped. You try to do something in the tax office and you have to go back 3 times. You're trying to do paperwork or things with lawyers, and everything just seems to be on standby.
Well, and it was Mercury retrograde, so usually and especially things that have to do with paperwork, they get like stalled and delayed a little bit.
I had to go back and back.
Yes,
just like waiting, and I just say it's going to come. It's fine.
I know. It's also it's just asking us to make double sure that this is what we want to do. Is it like, make sure, do I have all my ducks in a row before I leave the house? Do I have my keys, my documents, everything? Did I do this before I have to do that? And that's the thing. If we rush and we're not thoughtful.
Were we rushing towards awakening?
Probably, but the thing is,
So
we
it
cannot
means-
even not rush, because automatically we are pushed to awakening. You know, it's happening, and I see even relatively conservative people like my brother, little things I do see in him, whereas he does also have things that he sticks to his status quo. But I see a lot of people that you would think mechanics, like this type blue-collar people that you would say like, oh,
they're not thinking, they don't have that spiritual mindset.
What's that? Can I eat that? So they don't have that mindset exactly, but they do think. They ask questions. They really. It's about questioning, and with Uranus. I mean, right now Uranus is still in Taurus. Taurus is like slow, methodical, and Uranus is like lightning bolt. And being in slow, steady Taurus, it's not compatible really. Once Uranus goes into Gemini, I think then our vibration will be so high that we, like when we talked yesterday, we don't.
Oh, great energy.
Yes, yeah. We wish we could bring more back.
So how many weeks or months are we looking at until things start flowing? Because
kind of next year. So
next year.
Early next year. So
God.
we're almost there. So we're almost in September. I know it has to be slow because you know it's we are fast, but there are many people that need their time. They need their time. So that's why the ones that see like, oh, something is happening here, something is cooking under the surface here, then there will be many people that really will reach out and will ask for a hand. Hey, what's happening here? Because they feel like their carpet is pulled under their feet.
From their feet.
Yeah, they have known if they have something, they go to the doctor and they get a prescription. So that's a lifestyle. They think they have to go to work from 9 to 5, and they have to pay salary tax and whatever, and all these taxes. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to be. It has been implemented in 1913 or so, and it was taken off a couple of times, but they always sneak in again.
Sneak it back in. The control one more time,
That's
going
the
back to
thing.
the control. So the other thing that came to me as an intuition while you were talking, which I thought was important, was sometimes energetically, spiritually, we're ready for the new change or the awakening, but our body is not ready yet. And this is very interesting because the body is denser. So we are already vibrating at a higher vibration, and the body is not ready for that high vibration yet. So we're having all kinds of things like indigestion and addictions and many things happening with the body. And maybe that's why, like you said, the awakening is coming, but we need to put the roots into the ground. We need to have the roots strong so that when the tree grows, it doesn't fall over.
Right.
And the body
so
also has to become strong. And maybe that's kind of a little bit what's happening under, because I feel like one challenge one day, another challenge another day, another day happens, and it's just like
rather than strong, it has to be more. It has to be lighter. It has to be purified more. So that's why we have to learn to eat purer foods and
drink more wine.
And good wine. It's excellent wine. I forgot what it was called. Busquet.
I don't know.
Busquet.
Oh, you're French. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you wonder what you can.
That's very nice.
The pleasantries that you can have in the jungle.
And also, I usually do my videos and meditation, and I'm never drinking wine.
It's the very first time I do this. It just the people that came this idea came to us yesterday. So
yes, and I think it's very good for people to get rid of their belief systems, that mentors and people that are here to help, like you. We have this idea, and I think even Jesus had a lot of drinking wine happening. But also, I think it's important if you're able to keep those things in balance.
That's key.
I also was doing a video about spiritual humor and laughing, and I took some clips of the Dalai Lama, and I took Eckhart Tolle, and I took Sadhguru.
I think I saw that.
The laughing, And I was doing the video, and I was really surprised because both Sadhguru and Eckhart Tolle, Sadhguru said damn. He said damn. And Eckhart Tolle told a joke about these ladies in a church, And the pastor of the church said, so is there anyone here who, has gotten to this place in forgiveness in their life? And this old lady got up and she said, sir, she said, I don't have any enemies. He said, anyone here that doesn't have any enemies? I don't have any enemies. And he said, oh, well, could you come forward in the church and explain to us? And here's Eckhart Tolle, a very spiritually awakened person, and he says, I have no enemies because I have lived the visions. And it's so enlightening for me to see a mentor using a swear word or having a glass of wine, or if things are kept in balance. But it's not so much like we have to have these rigid rules, but we have to have the intuition.
The same with food, the vegan food that we talked about yesterday. So I think I know people also that smoke in front of camera. I know people that eat a lot of junk food, and they're still very, very spiritual. It's the intent, and it's not about like we wanting to escape and we wanted to get high. Like also, these peyote and ayahuasca ceremonies.
It was your first video like this, so I thought let's have a glass of wine because it just. But if you're having a little bit of wine, it's not making you change your state of consciousness.
Exactly.
It's helping to relax your body, and maybe even the thinking mind can relax, and then you can become more connected.
That is so true, and I think that was our impetus yesterday.
That was our impetus.
Even chocolate will do a change.
Do you want some chocolate?
I'm fine with this now. Yeah, and for some reason, chocolate is not calling me. Most people do. The only chocolate is
with red wine.
The cacao. Do you know that? In Playa del Carmen, they have two cafes.
Yes,
and
the dark.
But I think also the lady in Puerto Morelos, she has this botica de something, like a health boutique. She has all kind of incense and all this, and she has a cacao powder that has no lecithin, no sugar, no nothing.
It's just natural.
Pure, the ground cocoa powder. So that's what I do like. Just with water.
Well, you would love being a guide here in Mexico. You would love also. I have had the opportunity to have the experience from Tabasco where they grow the cacao on it's like a fruit on a tree, and then they brought me bags of it, and it was actually rotting the fruit. And then we took all the seeds out. We browned them and we made chocolate out of it.
That roasted in the pan.
We roasted it in chocolate.
Yes. I got also the seeds. And they used it as currency in the past, the old Maya.
Interesting, very interesting. So the Mayan people also had a very similar astrological...
Interesting, they are more similar to the Chinese. But I'm fascinated by that also. That's another one. I'm not so deep in it, so I don't know by heart all the 20 signs and all this, but I'm definitely into it. So it's more that they collect so you're born on a day that is a day sign, and then inside that, so the day that you're born is inside a 13 day, like a long week if you want, like a fortnight almost. And then you have like a day bearer that gives you a little bit of personality and characteristics, and that's how they do it. They kind of collect the data like the Chinese, but I like it also, and I did a yearly projection. How do you say, like a forecast for the
predictions.
Yes, a prediction. Right.
We're doing a prediction today. A prediction video.
Yes, we should pick that up again in around January when I do the yearly prediction.
Yes, 25.
Exactly. So that's when I cross-checked the Mayan prediction with the year bearer, with what's going on.
With astrology.
And we have something that's called the nodes of the moon. And they are like for 2.5 years they're in one sign. Right now they're in Aries, which is like the masculine, the conqueror, and the brave, the warrior. And so with that, it's really guiding people like on a mundane level to follow that invitation of being a warrior, and then plus with Saturn in the spiritual sign of Pisces, it's the spiritual warrior. So it's really about
the awakening.
Yeah, that's it exactly. totally.
It's the awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So I didn't want to just talk about myself and but I did ask Stefanie if I gave her my astrological sign and my birthday and hour and my couple, because I have an interesting relationship with a lovely man he is Leo and I'm Aquarius. So the only thing I really know about that, I don't know a lot about astrology. So I'm so excited. And I think now, if it's boring to anyone, they can just turn the video off.
You can learn.
But I will leave it on because some people might find it fascinating. But I would love for Stefanie to share what she discovered about my relationship, and I want to learn more from you.
So I start with you. I just put my chart up here.
Okay.
So it's you see a thicker cross. A vertical and a horizontal line. So basically we have a pie that is divided in 12 sections. They are called houses. Each of these 12 houses are a life area. So you see you have Cancer on your ascendant, and I know that you have been mindful about food and you have your little farm that you're sourcing very pure food,
pure proteins, and my whole life. In a way, I would have thought it had come more from my mother, and she's Leo. But also, I think maybe I never considered. But more than anything, I think I had the same spiritual upbringing. Like I just was really interested in anything spiritual, just like you.
No wonder, because your sun is in the 8th house, like mine also. So you want to know, you want to go beneath.
So curious about how things work. And
the so-called occult. The occult is nothing else than just covered. It's not visible, obviously, and that's what happened when I talked about the Babylonians in the past, and they had court astrologers. So there is a lot of power knowing about frequencies and energies and cycles of the planets, because you could tell when the king was in danger. So you were kind careful, of like a powerful.
Interesting.
And that's when I mean, at one point it was so, like, I think ancient Rome, they ridiculed astrology. They still do it. I mean, Reagan had a court astrologer, like a regular astrologer. Queen Elizabeth I had John Dee as a house astrologer. So the power of an astrologer is so astrology is ridiculed. So everybody goes like, astrology, don't use it. But people in power, they use astrology, like behind the curtain, and that's it. So if you know
Interesting.
it, and I
might not have had all my videos erased.
Yeah.
If I knew that one was coming, I would have changed my password first.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to look at the transits at that moment, because that's such a deep thing. But also, as we talked about Chiron, the wounded healer, and your Chiron return is coming up.
Because I'm turning 50 in January.
That's the cycle. So when you were born, Chiron is, let's see, where is it? Chiron is at 20 Aries, okay. So it takes 50 years to come back to 20 Aries. And right now, let's do, for the fun of it, we do this transit where we are, like where the planets are right now. You see, it's past already. So it's 23 Aries, and your birth Chiron is 20 Aries. They're kind of like not next to each other because of the space. Your 10th house is pretty full. And 10th house is career and public standing and all this. So, but you see, you are over it already. So it's retrograde though. So planets appear when we are on Earth. They all revolve around the sun. We revolve around the sun, but we are on Earth and we see it differently. So sometimes it appears that Mercury retrograde, it's not really going retrograde in the sky. It's just that we're closer to the sun, so we are faster, and Mercury is a little. It's
sort of a universal thing, not so much just an Earth thing.
Not so much only Earth, exactly. So because it's all, I mean, we have it all, the stars are in us and we are part of the stars anyway. So the plants, that's why in the full moon and new moon, the ocean tides are affected.
the plants and our body and everything.
And the Mayan, they when they cut the wood for building palapas,
or the plants or anything.
It's in the full moon because the juice is all in the tips. And so, but back to your Chiron. So when planets go retrograde and forward, they kind of massage over a same area in the horoscope. So Chiron, your wounded healer, with all the challenges that you had just recently and this weekend had, it's not a light switch. Chiron return, and then the switch goes off, and Chiron is now not having any impact on your life anymore. It's a longer period when it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
And by January next year, it's going to kind of go on its way.
It is.
It's been almost 1 year or 1 year of very challenging. But it's interesting. You said to me that my house is quite full.
Yes, but also
you called it the career house.
The career house, and then it's basically Jupiter is like the benefic. It's like Jupiter is it's a bringer of expansion. And expansion, I mean, we have to see what are we expanding. It is in the sign of Pisces, so that is why you have a deep interest in making a spiritual center your career, your business. So
I'm just not interested in it just being a hotel. I'm not, and I'm like, okay, so I'll just do all the spiritual stuff through YouTube. That'll create the money, and then if people want to come and be guests, they can.
But
if they like it,
instinctually, you did it because this is the days to have. And as I said yesterday, you have like magnificent
the reviews.
So
it's so hard though.
And then you are a coach, and I mean, before your videos got erased, I mean, you had so many views on it. So now, as I said yesterday, now you bind it together, and so that's that. The others here, these are asteroids. I don't neglect asteroids, and they're still in there because the settings are that way. But the most important is basically Jupiter, because all these are asteroids. This is Ceres, about food also. Juno is basically about relationships also. And Aries is the one that I was looking for when I was fishing for a name of one of these asteroids that I mentioned, like an unruly woman. Aries is one of these. It's an unruly woman. And isn't it Aries that was Adam's first wife?
I don't know.
Before Eve came along?
I'm not sure. That's very interesting.
I'm so bad with mythology.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me too.
So bad.
I don't have a good memory for those. And actually, I'm not very good with the scientific things. So the astrology has never been something that's really pulled me. Because I'm not great with mathematics or those kind of things. But I'm very curious when you look at my chart and you look at Aurelio's chart. So you're looking at both of us. What do you see as far as, because most people go to astrologers, let's be really honest, a lot of women are going to astrologers because they want to know what's going to go on with their love life. So what's going to go on with my love life, Stefanie? Do I even want to know on camera? And then if we have a moment, we should probably talk about what love really is. But I think it's fun because it's what most people want to.
And you can do this. So there is a technique that you do. You run a double wheel that has. I put you in the middle now, and then we put Aurelio on the outside, and then you can see overlapping. So, and of course, I had a quick peek yesterday already. And there's something else called a composite, and that's when you fuse both data. So you take midpoints. They are there. You take each zodiac degree, and you're taking the midpoints of both planetary positions, and that gives you. It's another chart that gives you like what is the relationship about. So it's becoming an entity. Your relationship is an entity, like you're with a partner, you're married or whatever, and you have children. So that's another entity, a third standing, like not only Maloney and Aurelio, but the relationship or the child or the business. Okay, and the two of you where you overlap. Let's see whether I. what did I find? 19. Oh, so okay, so midheaven. That's too far. I should have prepared better.
It's sort of a fun question too, because I just
So
wanted
Mars.
to, kind of like an idea. No, just what could you tell me to help me to keep things and what's happening, and I don't know.
His Mars is enshrined to your Venus.
Oh, that sounds.
So that's a good thing. That's a good thing,
That
definitely. And so your Saturn is close to your ascendant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really, it's in the 12th house, but it's very close to the ascendant. That makes you so like work dedicated and reliable. So let's see.
I just wish everyone else would be as reliable.
Yeah.
I find that a little hard sometimes because I'm very reliable, and then I look around and I go, oh my god, I feel like I'm the only one sometimes who's, you know, being reliable with the things, but
plus you're in a country where
things are very different.
Where it's very loose, where the timing is like, there's international timing and then there's Mexican timing.
Or just even the cultural lifestyle to just live day for day. Whereas we are taught to be so responsible and
exactly, and look ahead. Even with shopping, you know, you buy every day. You buy fresh stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else can we see? The suns. Let's see, the sun. It's not directly opposite. It's just that your signs are opposite, and with that, it's finding the balance. Both of you guys are fixed, as we said yesterday. You are the Aquarius, and he's the cuddly tiger, like the cat.
I love that.
Yeah, and also he has his North Node. North Node is kind of like compass, if you want, like a compass life task. It shows you the life task, and like his so when we said that sometimes he's a little shy and not Leo can be shy, but it is about stepping up and really shining
to
his
have
light.
that confidence.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that he was about the children, and
yes.
It's interesting because it's obvious in my chart that I'm all about business and those entrepreneurship things, and he is very much all about family, but it doesn't cause an unbalance for us because I don't have any children and he does. So it's a wonderful sharing.
That's balance again, exactly.
I have those things taken care of and he has the other things taken care of. So we don't really care. I don't care if I'm the one that does the business things. He does the
that's the new female male balance.
Yeah.
So that's you, as I said, and Jupiter is on your midheaven. So business is highlighted and it's running well.
I hope so, because I just need to get through the next few months, I think, for things to get into a place where.
Yeah, I think October. It's slowly when the hurricane season is fading out. You see that, so you have the green ones, right? So the green is it's the element, so it's water. Cancer is water, and then you have Uranus in water. So it's the degrees are kind of too wide. It's 2 degrees to 13 to 11. So it's not very tight. Usually the tighter the better, but still it's unusual. It's eclectic because you have a jungle hotel. It's not somewhere in playa with a beachfront or so. So it's something totally different. You have a pool that is filled with cenotes water, so that's totally different. And then of course with Saturn on the ascendant, it's 13 degrees, almost 14, and your ascendant is 17. So that's definitely making you a very like hardworking woman and as I said, reliable, and you don't mind even taking your duties, not at all.
Oh, but that just makes me feel better, because then it makes me feel like I'm actually supposed to be doing that. I'm not just I'm not just a martyr.
Making sense, exactly. Yes, making sense.
I really enjoy doing that. It's not like something I do just because I'm a martyr or something like that. But what would you say then, looking at this, for the whole economic situation, to sell the land and then get out of that situation that I've been carrying? Because I've been carrying a huge financial pressure just about since August last year.
Yeah, so that...
And now I'm just ready. I'm so ready for the land to sell and for me to be able to just not have paying interest, and because I like to pay on time and I like to have things in order. But I'm getting very close to not being able to do that. Within a month or two, I'm not going to be able to do that. Is that going to be resolved soon?
So Saturn is coming to your midheaven. So Saturn is structure, is like neutrally a structure, but it can also, it's also business. It is foundation. So it's giving like materializing. It's concrete. It's crystallizing. So coming to your midheaven. Well, it's also building. No, it's not that you're building something new on your
No, I'm building
property.
though the coaching and the hotel and all the things together. So it's just not the physical building anymore. Now it's building the actual business structure. But
usually it means work. It means commitment. Also, it is Saturn, as we earlier said. Also, we need Saturn. Discipline and all this, and related to your midheaven is then being more disciplined, like when you said, okay, every day I will make a video, every day I will do meditation. So that's having a structure, having an agenda. It's all about planning and planning ahead.
And being consistent.
Being consistent. That's what Saturn is asking. And
so you're saying October, so I just have to get through September and October. Well, it's very interesting. I look at that wheel, and all I see when I look at that wheel is I don't understand anything, right? So, and I would imagine I sort of put you on the spot because I just gave you this yesterday, and you're building and you're in a lot of things yourself.
Yeah, and I did not do my homework. I could have looked at it also, but as you know, in the jungle you have to just. But it's fun also to be on our toes. What is a good approach always is to look at someone's sun. And yours, as we said, is in the 8th house of like really deep knowledge, sex, and you know how important sex is in like for body, mind, and soul.
Interesting. Well, that's the whole course area that I'm developing, is the erotic abundance.
Exactly.
And I'm trying to figure out how to present it with the spiritual knowledge, because Eckhart Tolle and the other mentors and the people I've studied, nobody's talking about it at all. It's so taboo. Nobody wants to go there.
It's a taboo topic. For some reason, 2 days ago, a woman sent me emails. I don't know. They find your email address, and it was like really like almost soft porn. But she also put other stuff in, like hair care, like just tips in terms of finding like 5 days in the month or so where a woman is really receptive for like feeling the best, getting the best kick out of making love with the partner, and also for him to know when is a good time to get really.
So there's also astrology for making love.
I would say yes. I would say yes, because I mean, where the moon is, for example, is making you more, I don't know, maybe horny if you want, you know.
Yes. Oh,
so
yes. For sure.
When
the moon is larger, or when the moon is smaller?
I would even say the sign. So like, for example, Scorpio is about sex and rebirth and reproductive organs and all this. So that could be an indicator. I have not experimented with that, but it would be worth, like, if you look, okay, every 2.5 days the moon changes signs. If you look like, okay, when do I feel the most
more erotic?
Yeah.
So when you're feeling more erotic and sexy and horny, like you said, Do you think that that can be for people that are on a more spiritual path, a time when we can use our creative energy to make a video, to create, to write something, to start channeling? Because this is what first people have to find what their passion is.
Yes, yeah.
You have found your passion. Now, when you start dedicating your time to doing the passion, and that's the thing that you love the most, once you've seen what that is, then we have to teach people how to start using their creative energy.
So when you say all this, the first thing that pops up is like Leo, 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 Sun. So wherever our sun is definitely where we find our passion. I also would look at the North Node, the Moon's node. That is in your case in the fiery sign of Sagittarius, and that's, I mean, you're living in a different country from your birth country, and it's like really Sagittarian because it's in the first decan, and so it's passionate, it's fiery, it's in the 5th house of play, and also romance goes in the 5th house. It's also, when we talked about risk taking, it is easier to take a risk when you have your North Node in a fire sign, because it's about gambling in a way. Okay, do I do this? I'm building a hotel.
I've taken some huge risks, and right now, as I'm waiting for things to get into place, sometimes I go,
well, oh my God, you're on your midheaven. I think it's
good then.
You have like a little protection there. Yes.
Oh, good.
In terms of business, so you have a good hand, and you see, I mean, you get.
So it's not just my old 3 generations back Jewish blood. It could just be my.
It is your personal. Your personal.
I always thought my business thing was because of my ancestors.
Yes.
Well, the Mayan people do have a lot from their ancestry. I had a young Mayan fellow having dinner with us on New Year's Eve, and he was about 16 years old, and he got up at the table and he made a prayer for the dinner. And he thanked his mother and the mother of his mother and the mother of his mother's mother. And it was so beautiful.
Yeah, that's
because
beautiful.
The Mayan culture and their astrology really does take into consider all this family ancestral pattern. Which does that come into play sometimes? For example, if you were going to do a very, let's say I was the Queen of England. I'm the Queen of Hogma. Okay, and I'm going to want to know more about my family ancestral patterns. Would you figure out my mother's and my grandmother's astrology?
Yeah, there is something called like turning the wheel. It's not really my forte, but there are people that even look at your like the conception chart and all this. It's not really what I use a lot, but it is possible. And there's one astrologer that pops into my mind, Maurice Fernandez, and he is really working on the 12th house, because that's the last house you see. It's all in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 12. The 12th house is the hidden house. The first house is you, your body, you as your like the personality. So basically the 12th house is when you were in the womb of your mother. So that is kind of like your just before you popped out and came on the came into the first house, and you became a toddler in the first house, which is naturally associated with Aries, the toddler, the initiation and all this. So that's one thing to look at. And you see moon. The moon is this symbol. It's one of these, the most, if you don't know anything about astrology, your sun sign and the placement of it, and your moon and your ascendant, those 3 pillars, they're really telling already a lot about a person. So your moon is in the 12th house also. Your sun is in the 8th house. So it's about depth, it's about like wanting to find out deeper stuff and sex, and as I said, the transformative
spirituality and occult.
Yes, exactly. And the 12th house as well, it's the service to universe. So it's.
You mean not everybody comes here to serve the universe? I thought everyone was supposed to be doing that.
No, so this is.
I wanted to serve the universe since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
I just had this feeling like I'm here to serve. I'm like, what can I do to help you?
The 6th house is like serving your employer, and the 12th house is like serving something so big, something way bigger. And I mean, you are intuitive, so Moon is in Cancer, in a water sign, in the 12th house, so no wonder you're like a psychic sponge also, you pick up the signals, and so that's the Moon, and in Cancer it's in its natural sign. Another reason why you are interested in psychic phenomenon and food and family lineage.
Yes.
And the other thing to look at in terms of karmic, like where we are coming from and lineage, is this is the bottom chart, Imun Kweli. You see when we have the thicker lines here, the vertical and horizontal. So the bottom part is the Imun Kweli. It's kind of like the beginning of the 4th house. The 4th house is our domestic setting. So your living space.
Oh, it's very important to me that the house is all organized. Interesting.
And the sign that's on there is Virgo. Virgo is practical and it's humble, and your house is, it's big. It's a big house, and you're housing a lot of people and guests and travelers and all this.
No, but my living space is very practical.
It's very practical.
It's a little practical kitchen.
Yes.
A practical area for videos.
And you prefer like natural wood and everything natural, and you work with the Maya people. So you hire, your personnel is like really, it's all humble. You're not like, I have to wear like Gucci and all this.
No, I love like all the most.
Yes.
I'm in my jean shorts and this is
exactly. So that's Virgo. That's Virgo at home, like having it clean but humble and
comfortable.
Yes, and comfortable and very practical. It has to be practical, usable.
Nice.
Yes. So
this is interesting because this shows you when you don't have a concept about astrology, and I'll give you more time to look at the charts and tell me, because we can have another.
There's so much. We
can have another reading, and you will be now the astrologist. Yeah, my house astrologer. Yes, I love that. I'll pay you with megabytes of Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Come and use my internet.
That's practical.
I can pay you with wine. We'll find lots of good exchange.
Yes.
Practice with video.
Yeah. I love that.
Nice exchanges, and it's interesting when you tell me about myself and I understand better. It also makes me realize that everyone is different, and sometimes we forget. Sometimes we think that everyone is.
Oh yes. Yeah, my mom, I love her, but she always thinks like, everybody should think like I am, so she cannot understand if somebody thinks otherwise, and then she gets angry. How can they not think that way? Well, maybe they're just different.
Hard though. It's hard to understand that not everybody is responsible.
Yeah.
Not everybody is practical, or not everybody is, like I really see people, like you said, and they want to be like, really elegant and dressed up and a nice car and all this stuff. And I go like, ew, like all those people, their images. But I didn't realize that maybe it's just because of my astrology. It's not because I'm just a humble person.
It's not important for you. Not important for you. So your home setting doesn't have to be like, like this modern, even though you're an Aquarius, usually Aquarius thinks modern, but it's really just whatever's necessary is good, And probably also when you look at the sign Virgo, when we talked about the same origin, like the Bessarabia, which is now Ukraine, when Katarina the Great invited the German settlers, hey, come on, you can have this land and all this, you don't have to obey to any religion or so, you can be free spirits, and these settlers then came and they fertilized the whole thing, and it became the grain, I don't know, like the grain hotspot for Europe.
Wow.
And then the Bulgaria came and they said, no, now we want to own that land patch. And finally the Soviets came, so they kicked the Germans out, or I think the Germans ran off. So when your great-mother was in there also, so that's Virgo. It's like the harvest and earth. It's earthy. It's making sense.
Very good. Well, I am so grateful that you came, and Well, let's
yeah,
like come to the end of the video, and it's been 1 hour exactly, so we did it
really?
in an hour.
Oh, wow. Time flies. With you, time flies.
Wonderful
Yes,
job.
it's like boom, 2.5
It's not
hours.
difficult. You just kind of keep going, keep the things flowing.
Yeah.
So if anyone is still watching, thank you so much. If you like this, I hope Stefanie will come back, and she will be my, what did you call it?
The house astrologer.
The house astrologist for us.
The
So that was
concept.
so lovely. So
Yes,
thank you
wonderful.
so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for the invitation, for this interesting, exciting, experimental idea.
Yes.
Yes, and I say bye out there also.
If anyone's watching us for a little jungle adventure, then
Yes.
then have a great day.